Coming in from the U.S., a gunman has shot at Congressman Steve Scalise in Virginia. Some members of his congressional staff have also been injured. This is news just coming in, a shocking piece of news, where a U.S. congressman, also a whip of the Republican Party, Steve Scalise, has been shot at. There's been a shooting in Virginia, we're being told right now, and we don't know exactly how injured they really are, how critical they are. We don't even know whether or not the shooter has been brought under control or has been apprehended. All we can see right now is a lot of police presence. They've covered off the area, and we understand that Steve Scalise is among those who's been shot in Virginia.
Security detail fired back. We're getting on that from that interview a few more names of congressional members who were out on that ballpark. We're getting no word on their status names of congressional members who were out on that ballpark. Members who were out there just playing. They very well may be completely fine. Ron DeSantis of Florida, Chuck Fleischman of Tennessee, Senator Rand Paul, Jeff Flake, Senator and a number of others. He said that Brooks is adding more detail to what happened out on that scene. He said that he held and a number of others. He said that Brooks is adding more to be Representative Scalise on that scene. He said saying because he was bleeding so much. Another congressman was getting scissors. We know that they applied a tourniquet to help his wound. No update on his condition at this point. These details are very fluid. But again, just to recap quickly, Alexandria police do say that a suspect is in custody right now. But again, just to recap quickly, Congressman Brooks, at least 5 people have been wounded on the scene right now.
Right, and one source saying that the congressman's wounds are not. I certainly want to go back to Mary Bruce from that list.
All right, we have some details to go on with now. Vandana Selashan Bawan joins us for more on this. Steve Scalise is also a whip of the Republican Party. He was shot during baseball practice. Do we know about the whereabouts of the shooter, and has he been apprehended yet? What are the details, Vandana?
Well, Athar, we've been told, according to our sources, that the shooter has been apprehended and that he's also injured and has been taken to the hospital. We know that around 20 to 23 rounds were shot at the YMCA ground where this shooting took place. It was during a friendly congressional match where a couple of Congress leaders were present, and unfortunately Steve Scalise was hit. Of course, he's also been rushed to the hospital, and he is also the whip of the House of Representatives. Now, we don't know as of now whether it was a specifically targeted attack or whether Steve Scalise was attacked for some reason, or whether this attacker was just out to attack the Congress leaders who were there playing the game, because since, of course, there were a couple of them. No details have emerged as of now. However, we've been told that there have been others who have also been injured because, of course, the shooter seemed to have fired indiscriminately. And now that he, has been apprehended.
Right. Vandana, stay on. We're getting some more details now from our international collaborators. Let's listen in.
We could think too much. People did.
And we know or we believe that some of his security detail or some security detail may have been injured in this process, but questions about just how well protected they are outside of the Capitol, how close that security detail is, will certainly be raised here today.
They certainly will. Senator Rand Paul is joining us now on the phone. Senator, we had just heard one report that you were there at the park this morning.
I was out in the batting cage in right field when the first shots came. The first shot was kind of an isolated shot, and everybody kind of looks up and says, "Hey, what's that?" And I grew up in the South, and it's not that uncommon to hear somebody hunting a shotgun. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm not really in the South. I'm in the city. But before we could think too much, people didn't drop down with the first shot. People thought, well, they weren't sure what it was, but it did sound like a gunshot, and it was pretty loud and pretty close. But then after that, we heard a succession of shots, 5, 10, 15 shots in a row. Steve Scalise, Representative Scalise, was at second base, so I'm way out in right field, and I'm outside of the fence, about a 10-foot fence where I am, and outside it. And so he goes down, but is moving and is crawling towards the outfield. There was 2 staff members on this other side of this 10-foot fence, and I'm behind a tree now, right next to the batting cage, and I'm seeing shots skipping off of the warning track right around these two.
Were the shots all coming from one place, Senator?
Well, that's the strange thing. At first, you're not sure. My instinct was they were coming from the third baseline, and I couldn't see the shooter, but I wasn't positive. Am I standing on the right side of the tree or the wrong side of the tree? And I'm looking around trying to determine if there's one shooter or two shooters. But the shots appear to be coming from third baseline, and then the more shots that were fired, there ended up being at least 50 or 60 shots fired. And at that point, people were dropping, and at least one of the staffers may have been hit in right field, and another one, I said, do you want to try to get out? And all of a sudden, he was up, and he was over the 20-foot fence in about 2 seconds. And I've never seen anybody climb a fence that fast in my life. And he came tumbling over the other side. We were behind the tree, and the shots were continuing. And I think he was reloading. And at that point, a burst of more gunfire came. And so he and I were discussing, what to do. And I felt like my instinct was that he was moving and that he could just move around the entire field and shoot everybody. And so at that point, we decided to make a run for it. And he was hitting the dirt around us out in right field. So it was a risk to stay and a risk to go, but we chose to go ahead and make a run for it. We had to climb a couple more fences at that point to get out.
Could you actually see the shooter, or were you just seeing the shots? Did you get a good look at who this person was?
At first, I'm seeing only the shots, and I'm pretty far away. I'm in right field outside of the ballpark. This guy is outside the ballpark on the third baseline near the dugout, and I think he's using the dugout, the edge of the cinder block of the dugout as cover. But everybody's saying he's got a blue shirt, and people were able to see him. I can't say that I ever saw him, but it felt like he was shooting a rifle, and people were saying it sounded like an AR-15. But so he had a rifle. He was hitting people from a long way away, and excuse me?
No, sorry. And Senator, where did you go next? You say you just made a run for it?
Well, we were there for probably, I don't know, it seemed like forever. What we finally heard was the Capitol Hill police returning gunfire. And these guys were real heroes, and without them, I think everybody would have been killed.
My goodness. I mean, yeah, you did have the security detail.
Another instance of a gunman on the loose shooting at congressmen now.